everybody. Welcome back to my channel, Media Picker. My name is Brandon. If you're new here, this channel is about reselling. I do this part-time, reselling on eBay and Mercari, specializing in media-related products. If it's something you're interested in learning about, please consider subscribing to the channel. Greatly appreciate it. Different kind of video for you. I've had a couple of things on this list that I've kind of did some stuff on and kind of jotted down, and I'm like, you know what? Let's do a video on this. This is, I guess you could call it bad eBay buyer habits or bad things that eBay buyers do. So I jotted down a list. Some of these are going to, actually, a lot of these are going to tie together. But then I also, at the end of the video, I'll pull up an AI overview and see what AI says about it too. It's kind of interesting also. So stay tuned for that. So I'll go with the first one here. Extreme lowball offers. I'm sure you as a seller, if you have offers turned on, you get you get these quite often. What also annoys me with the offers is buyer sends an offer back. I'll tell you the story. Buyer sends an offer for $10. It's like an $18 CD, probably on sale for like 16, 15. So I counter it like 14 or 13.50 or something like that, and the buyer then counters again at the same exact price. Annoys the crap out of me. So at that point, I already know that they're not going to budge, and I'm not going to keep dropping down to their level. So I just declined it and blocked them. I don't got time for that. I should do what my friend Ryan does and do set a minimum on there so you're not playing that game. But I don't. It's fine. It's annoying. So if you do want to avoid that, definitely set a minimum on your listing as far as what you actually really want to accept. You can have it set up to actually review it at a minimum amount, or you can have it set up to where it automatically will just accept it if that buyer actually hits that amount. So that's the first one. Second one also ties into that, which I talked about, is the buyer offering same thing over and over again. Also, what annoys me is you'll get a message from the buyer and they'll ask, what is the lowest amount that you will take? I don't respond to those. Send an offer. If it's reasonable and I don't have a minimum set, which I do have for some, then I'll consider it. I'm not going to say, here's my bottom line offer. If that was the case, I would have just listed that and I have offers turned on. So, buyers failing to pay. So, eBay's starting to get better with this. What eBay's gotten its where now, a lot of offers, the instant payments set up. You can set that up on your account also. But there are still some accounts, and I believe this also goes for international, where it's like a 96-hour period for the buyer to pay, I believe, for international. I think there are actually still some accounts that still have a time to pay also if an offer is accepted, which is kind of annoying too. But buyer fails to pay, let it sit there for 4 days, report it as non-paid, buyer gets a mark on the record. But that's one thing that annoys me also. Hopefully eBay is getting better with it. Hopefully eBay can continue to improve on that to where basically you make an offer, you're making a commitment to pay it, and your card's getting charged instantly. Which in a lot of cases it is, but it's not 100% yet. These next ones kind of tie in together. We've got unreasonable feedback where some buyers don't have a clue, and they end up leaving feedback as if it were on the item and not your service. Or, the DVD was a crappy DVD and they just said it's a crappy movie or whatever, and they left the feedback and put negative on your store. That's ridiculous. And in a lot of cases, eBay may or may not remove that. Leaning towards probably not. Or, the item's brand new, sealed, and buyer states it's there's an issue with it or whatever, and it wasn't an issue when you shipped it out, and it's mint condition and packed very well, and blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. So that annoys me. I don't really get unreasonable feedback. I know there's some other sellers that do. And the next one kind of goes in hand with its feedback extortion. Buyers will try to get a partial. They'll fish around for one, saying, this issue, and then it's going to cost me this to get this fixed on this. How can you give me a partial, give me some money back to recoup myself for that? Nope. Return it. Just return it. Or they might say that really isn't feedback extortion, or they might say the fact where they talk about and say, well, if you don't give me a partial refund, I'm going to leave a real true review on how you are towards me, or along those lines. In that case, if they can kind of get towards that part, you may have a case at getting that removed by eBay if they do leave the negative. I've heard some stories where eBay hasn't removed some of those. So, I mean, it's a crapshoot with eBay. It depends on who you get as a representative to actually look at your case. But feedback extortion, again, is another thing buyers do. Or here's another one that kind of ties into it also, where they falsely claim an item not as described just so they can go ahead and return it for free. So if you offer returns, but your buyer repays return shipping, the buyer's going to find any possible loophole if they don't want this anymore to get rid of it. Item is not described. There was an issue with this that was not mentioned by the seller, blah, blah, blah. With clothing, a lot of people will more or less rent clothes for events and then ship them back, return them, and falsely return it under pretenses to where they get the return shipping and they get the item back, and then the seller has to try and figure out what condition it's in and see if it's even eligible to resell, or they're going to have to write it off. So false INADs are actually a rampant thing also here with eBay. A return fraud that kind of ties in with it also. So you sell a $300 video game and the buyer doesn't want it for some reason. They decide to go ahead and return it, and they return you an empty case or an empty package or a package with some rocks in it. Now, there's ways, obviously, you can fight that. You can file, cases with the IC3 Internet Crimes and local police departments where the buyer lives, and also, USPS, and try and fight it that way. USPS also weighs each package along every stop on the way to the actual destination. So it comes back and there's like literally nothing in there. It's like an ounce, and that's what you went and shipped out. Then obviously the buyer's committing fraud. You can actually kind of prove that with the weights of the package from the post office. Buyers treating eBay like Amazon. Some buyers actually aren't. Some buyers just think eBay is eBay, and they don't realize that it's millions of sellers individually that have different schedules. They work full-time, they part-time, they have kids. Stuff doesn't get shipped same day like Amazon. It just doesn't. A lot of buyers don't read the information that's actually in your listing where it says, 3-day handling time or 2-day handling time. I ship out within 24 hours, and if I can ship it out same day, I will. And one of the perks of the reason why I can do that is because I work from home, my full-time job. So I'm already back in the same room with all my stock and everything else. So, but buyers thinking eBay is like Amazon, they're going to get it instantly, or demanding buyers where they're like, I need this by this day. And yeah, it just doesn't work out that way. It's not the real world necessarily. This one kind of annoys me too. I get messages about this. Buyers telling you how to basically pack the items if you never shipped it before. Like for CD, if it's an expensive CD, I'm bubble wrapping it. I'm putting a cardboard or possibly a box. It's going to be nice and tight package, and there's going to be no issues with the item arriving to the destination. Buyers telling you how to pack it. Please add some bubble wrap or whatever, and blah blah blah. And I don't tell you how to buy stuff. Don't tell me how to do my job. I've been doing this for years. I know how to pack stuff. If you look at my feedback, it's because I have a really good packing. A lot of times is the feedback I get at my store. Buyers not reading details. I have a lot of stuff templated. I have to add one thing to each listing as I do that listing, and that's basically just repeating the condition back down in another section, so it's in there actually twice, so you shouldn't miss it. But again, as we know, 99% buyers don't read. I'm at fault to that a couple times in past videos. I've mentioned that I've missed reading some of the stuff, and I probably should have paid more attention. But yeah, buyers don't read no matter what you put in there. So I just hope you take good, clear pictures and show any flaws. It would be my best thing. And or if you have room, read description in bold letters to kind of mention that they need to go further into this. Again, hope they do. It's not always the case. And this has happened to me a couple of times in the last couple of days, actually, prior to recording. This is one of the reasons why I decided to go ahead and do this kind of video. Buyers buying and then requesting cancellation immediately. You get the old sob stories or the story where it's, well, some buyers just found a better price. Or they say, you know, my son got a hold of my phone and he went ahead and did this without my approval, and I need this canceled or whatever. And, or ordered by mistake is a top one also. Where, how do you order by mistake? You have to do so many steps before you purchase the item. You have to make sure you know your credit card or debit card or whatever is the correct one that's marked, and to kind of double check everything, the address and all that before you hit the freaking pay now. Those I obviously just cancel and just relist, but those are the things. It's like 12 items I just kind of briefly discussed that just kind of annoy me and stuff that annoy other sellers regarding eBay buyers. Now let's see what AI states, shall we? So, AI. eBay buyers can engage in various problematic behaviors. It's funny that AI can pull this stuff. This includes attempting to scam sellers, misusing return system, demanding actions outside of the listing terms, leaving unfair feedback. Again, with a lot of the stuff I've actually discussed just in this video. Specific examples include requesting to pay outside of eBay, which is a big no-no. You will get your account totally shut down. Do not do it in any way, shape, or form. Claiming items are not as described when they are, again, what I already previously mentioned, and attempting to reuse items within the return window. So here's a more detailed breakdown of what AI says on this. So paying outside of eBay. Buyers may ask to pay via methods supported by eBay, such as wire transfers or gift cards, which can indicate a scam attempt. That is true. Buyers will also ask you to contact them and provide their phone number. Do not ever reply to those or respond to that in any way, shape, or form, because eBay can see your messages. Don't do it. You will lose your account. False claims of items not as described. Buyers might claim that an item is damaged, not as described, or is missing parts when it is accurately represented in the listing. Again, a lot of the time buyers just wants to return the item and they don't want to pay the return shipping, so that's why they go ahead and go this route. Using the return system, some buyers might try to return items after using them and claim false claims to get refunds. Again, kind of falls under the same thing. They'll use, again, to get the free shipping, if you don't already offer it, they'll go ahead and try to file I am not subscribed. Demanding actions outside of the listing. They may pressure sellers to ship immediately after purchase, again, which is something I also mentioned. Request changes to shipping address. That's another thing you also do not want to do. I've done it once or twice in my entire selling career, and I've sold over 9,000 items so far to this point. You do not want to change the address. Changing the address loses all buyer protection within eBay. So if you change the address after the buyer has already purchased it and the item does not get to the buyer, you're not going to be saved by eBay. You're SOL. You're going to be out the item and the money, because you're going to have to refund the buyer. And the issue is also the buyer still may have actually got the item, but because you changed the address and tracking wasn't completed by USPS showing it was delivered, you're screwed. Now, if you have the address on file and it does not get there and UPS does show it delivered, then you can, and a buyer opens up a case saying they didn't receive it, but yet tracking shows it was, You can add the information to the case on eBay, and eBay will support the seller, and you will not be out your money. Lowball offers through messages. Making lowball offers through private messages instead of using the best offer feature is considered poor etiquette and can be a red flag. I will say that on offers I get, because I don't get a ton. I mean, I get a few. I get a few a day. I will take a quick peek, which takes me like a minute, and look at their feedback that they have left for other sellers. If there are a lot of negative feedbacks, I'm not even going to mess with it. I'm going to decline your offer. I'm going to add it to my list. Period. Excessive bidding and retracting, that usually happens on auctions, which does, if you do it so often and you're retracting bids over a period of time, I'm not sure what that period of time is on eBay, and you're bidding and retracting, eventually you can get your account suspended also by doing that as a buyer. Misrepresenting items. Buyer may attempt to return items that are not the same as what was purchased. Again, they've worn it or whatever. It was brand new with tag on, and they wore the item out to their event or whatever, and then they're going to return it. Under feedback and communications, so AI states leaving unfair feedback. Buyers might leave negative or neutral feedback without a legitimate reason, potentially damaging the seller's reputation. That is true. That does happen. Demanding excessive communication. So buyers might send large messages with no intention of actually purchasing the item. Also does happen where buyers will just add a bombardment of just question after question after question after question. And a lot of times the answer is usually in the listing, but they didn't read it. I don't get that very often since I sell media mainly for the most part. I get occasional question here or there. Like one guy messaged me there a week or two ago about the track time on a certain song. If this is the edition that has it. So I'm like, well, it doesn't state it. So let me go ahead and play the song and find out what the actual track time is. So he's looking for the one with the longer version. Anyway, if you're going to be messaging me over and over and over and over about stupid stuff, I'm at some point I'm going to get annoyed. I'm just not going to respond, and it sounds like you're going to be a problematic buyer. And sometimes in those messages, you can kind of key in on what they're kind of getting towards. You know, is this brand new? Is there this? Is there that? Is there any, no creases or anything? And blah blah blah. And they start putting stuff regarding condition, and your item supposedly new. You're almost gonna guaranteed you're gonna get I am not subscribed as soon as they receive the real replica case, saying that it was damaged, it was a bent corner or something. Or so if they start leading that way with questions about that, I'm just gonna go ahead and block them. I'm done. Other red flags: new buyers purchasing high ticket items. That can be a red flag also. New buyers, I sell stuff to new buyers all the time. I've actually sold a high dollar item or two to a new buyer also. I mean, not talking thousands of dollars. We're talking maybe $100 CD I've sold to a new buyer. It's just the buyer just really wanted the item, so I took a chance and it worked out fine. But there's a lot of cases where high ticket items, expensive sports car, baseball cards and all that, or comics or whatever, that could easily lead to a possible scam. Again, a red flag asking to ship to a different address again does not protect you by eBay if you do it, so do not do that. If the buyer does ask to change the address, tell them that you lose eBay protection if you do, and that you would need to cancel the order, and the buyer would need to repurchase the item with their updated address. And last one that's on here, lack of engagement before purchase. Some buyers may show little to no interest in item details or engage in minimal communication. That one doesn't really really factor in with eBay. I get purchases all the time where there's no questions asked. That's 90% of the time. So anyway, I thought this was kind of a cool little video to kind of do, just kind of talking about just bad buyer habits, I guess, on eBay, or just bad buyers in general, what they try to tend to do. Let me know what your experiences are with some of your nightmare buyers. I'm kind of curious. If you got anything on this, consider subscribing to the channel. Questions, comments, throw them down in the chat. Click the like button, which also does help me out. Click the bell for future notifications of other videos just like this. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.